I'm Langat Emmanuel. I'm a Laravel developer. I also do Vue.js. For now, I can say that's the stack I'm more proficient in right now. Okay. So let me go to my presentation. I prepared a little guiding for this topic. So about route model binding. So basically, it's a feature that allows you to automatically inject model instances into your controller. So I'm sure. Okay, so let me just go through this. Then maybe I can explain more better, showing it with while coding it. So this can simplify your code and make it easier to maintain. We'll see about that later. So for example, this one, there's a route for users. Yeah, you are getting a user, and you can see you have added a user inside those curly braces. And then this function will return a user. So this user, let me just go to the code. So wait a minute. So let me just go through it. Let me just explain it using the code so you can understand better. I hope you can see my screen clearly. Okay, so I prepared a random data of users. Let me just check the database. Yeah, this one. Just prepared a random data of users for testing purposes. As you can see, there are 10 users here. So we'll be querying these users based on maybe ID, name, or any parameter here, maybe even the username. So normally, what we normally do, so we have the route here. Which normally I'm sure most of the people, you always see something like this, users, and you are searching user ID. So and then in the controller, you normally see something like this. I'm sure this is more normal for all the users when you are starting maybe with this this thing. So basically what this do, you will find a user with that ID and then return the user. So I'll be testing it with my browser, like this one. And as you can see, I have searched for the user with ID of 3. Wait, let it. Okay, just a bit. It's kind of slow. Okay. So as you can see, when I search the user ID of, let's say 5 or 6, that user will be returned. As you can see from the database, user of 6 is that one Rolly Royson, which is the same here. So what we will now be doing today is we want to see another way you can do this and maybe eliminate most of this, maybe this find or fail, and make it more simpler. So let's just go into it directly. Okay, so I have this extension which which makes it easier for me. Okay, so what we have done here, we have added, we have created a function and then injected this model user. with this what should I call this? So basically, what this will do, whenever you add it's same with this one. So now we will have to change. This will be ID. Okay, just a minute. We'll use the. It will be user. Just a minute. I just got lost a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, before that, we were finding the user manually here. As you can see, find or fail the user with that ID. So here, what will happen is that Laravel will automatically search that user for you. And now you'll have to change this. Instead of using ID here, you will have to use user. So normally there are two types of this rote model binding. The first one is implicit and the other one is explicit. This one, which we are doing right now, is implicit. In implicit, you have to use this parameter where this rote parameter which you will use here should be the same as on your controller. It should be the same as this. What should I call it? Is this a variable or it's not a variable? Is it dependency or what? So it should be same with this one. So if you decided to use, let's say, maybe just any name, that name you should be the same as the one you will use as your route parameter here, right here. So if you use maybe user and then maybe you use another name here, it won't work for implicit route binding. Okay, so let me just use the user. Okay, since I'm using the API web route, I'm gonna have to clear the cache for every name since I made some changes on them. Just a minute. Okay. So when you refresh this, it will still work. Okay, we have an error. Let me check what's wrong. I guess I should use the. Let me just optimize it so it will recache this. Okay. Yeah, as you can see, it's still working the way it was. So what happens here is that the Laravel will check the route parameter which you passed it here, and now check the model which you are using here. Then fetches that user directly for you, so you don't have to find it manually like the way we were doing previously, using the find or fail or using the find, or maybe even using the where's ID is the same as this ID. So as you can see, this is more simpler and it's help you make your code more clean and yeah. And then there is maybe so here the primary key that Laravel uses for you here is the ID. So right now, let's try to see how you can maybe use maybe name, username, or maybe email, or any other parameter that you may want to use. Maybe is this the slug or what? Yeah. just any other column you maybe want to use to maybe to query the database, the users, or any other table that you have. So let's say let's use the username. If you want to maybe use a username instead of the ID, which normally is the primary which is being used here, you just add a column, then that table name, the column name you want to use. So for our case right now, we want to use the username. So let me just optimize to create a new cache. So if we refresh this right now, you won't be able to see any results because I'm sure there is no user with a username of 6. So let's take for example this user with this username of that name. If we use it here, we will be able to get that user. Yeah. Maybe you want to use this one. Yeah, it's still working. The other thing that you may want to do right here is maybe you want to change you want to change this name to be different with this one, the one you will be using right here. So that will be now the explicit route model. So we are done with the implicit, whereby you have seen that then the parameter should be same with this variable right here, this dependency which we used here. So for the explicit route model binding, this was for the implicit. Let's just go through this. So it's the simplest route model binding if you have seen. And it works by assuming that the route model name matches the name of the associated model variable in the controller method. Yeah, if you have seen how we have used it, a user and the user model. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, let's now go to the explicit route model binding. So let me just show you how it works, then we can come and go through this later. So for explicit, you have seen, we may want to change this name just to be different with the one maybe we can use here, or maybe we just want to maybe customize how data is returned from this from that model you are querying. So here you will have to use the route service provider. Is it? Yeah. And then on the public function of boot, just at the top, you're gonna add the this road model. Okay, just like that user. So whatever you are going to use, this is this one, the first parameter right here is the route parameter, and then the next one is the model. The model class you want to query. Maybe you have post any products or any other, but right now we are using the user model. So let's say you want to maybe, I don't know what name we can use right here, but let's say in a scenario maybe you just want to use a different name right here. Okay, let me just call it a user so that maybe you can see how it works. And on your route, you're gonna have to add that the same way, the same name route parameter you have used right here, which should be the same with the one you used right here. And this one you can just leave it the way it is. So this name should it's not a must now to be the same with the route parameter. And this should still work the same. Okay, here we're gonna have to use the ID instead of the username. Yeah, as you can see, it's working fine. So it's returning that object of users of that user you are fetching. And the other thing, maybe, is there any other thing? So that was for the explicit route model binding. So that allows you to specify the model class that should be bound to the route parameter. Yeah, and explicit, and you are using it. You are using the route model method. If we have shown you right here on the route service provider class. So explicit route model binding can be useful in a number of situations, such as when you need to bind a custom model class to a route parameter. And when you need to bind a route parameter to a model class that is defined in the same namespace as the controller. And also when you need to customize the way Laravel resolve that model instance. So I saw, okay, I didn't go so deep on the explicit because I normally don't use it so much, but I was seeing you can also maybe, okay, let me just not go to that because I don't have so much information. I saw maybe you can, something like that, if you, so for those who have used repositories, maybe you can just specify what should be returned right here, but that was, I didn't see it a necessity for that because you can just still use the implicit because it's simple and it's easy and it can still use cover keys. So that was all I had for the route model binding. If you have any question, you can ask. Yeah, you can just send it to the chat, then I can see.